Here we are again, guys. We are finally in part 3 of Forces of Nature. I am doing a review of Bridgerton season 3, episode 3, I believe. I'd like to first and foremost give a shout out to everyone who heard my request for the subscribing thing. I got 4 new subscribers since the last video. I couldn't get all their names. But I am going to shout out to Mia Dabas. Thank you so much, girl. I see you. I feel you. Thank you so much. Um, so we go straight into the next couple of scenes. So they we go into the scene of the innovations ball of 1815, which is hosted by Lord and Lady Hawkins. One thing that I clocked, I was like, the wealthy always have early access to science, tech, and innovation. So if you want to get ahead in life, y'all, we have to make that moolah, baby. So then Benedict, we see Benedict with Francesca, and he's escorting her, and she's like, oh, are you going to escort me? And he's like, nah, man, I'm merely using you as a shield. But he says it in a nice way, not the way I said it. And then Eloise is right behind them, Eloise and Colin, and you can see Eloise is worried that Colin is still upset about the whole rumor leak, and he says he's all right, all is well between them, and he claims he's merely in his own thoughts and asks the question, can a man not be pensive? And I like that because he's interested in Eloise's he recognizes that Eloise is a forward thinker and she's there for gender equality. So I found that statement to kind of be, supportive of her ambitions. Anyways, then Violet, who's behind them, drops a glove, and then as she's reaching down to pick it up, another hand is there and it picks up the glove. So their hands are about to touch, but they don't. And the guy who picks it up is, mysterious. We don't know who he is. But he's tall, dark, and handsome. And then, there's a look back moment that she gives him, and I'm like, Violet, what is he doing here? What is he doing? Could this be a possible love match for them, or am I overthinking it? Then, as they walk into the event hall, or the mansion, the manor, the estate inside, Portia is still on Penelope's case. She's like, oh, thankfully everybody will be talking about Mr. Bridgerton and the balloon, not Mr. Bridgerton and you. And I'm like, Portia, please, please, Portia. Then someone, I think it's the Lord Hawkins, he's like, oh, can I be interested in showing you what Lord Sir Humphrey Davy calls a lamp? And she's like, no. She's not interested in anything about the knowledge. She's just there for the social event, gathering, gossip, that's all she's there for. So fun fact, yes, there was a man called Humphrey Davy who did invent the lamp, and it was called the electric arc lamp. And I've gotten this information from bulbs.com, and that invention was in 1802. Okay, now far from the sidebar, another mama is Araminta Kaupa. She's pressuring Cressida to secure a dance with Lord Debling, and she's just telling her daughter, look, you might think me harsh, but then your father is really pushing, how do I put it, he's putting pressure on the mom to get their daughter married. And Araminta informs Cressida that the allowance has been reduced by their father by half, and they might have to wear the outfits that they have worn to that ball more than once, which is shocking, appalling. Oh my gosh, wear the same things twice, but I mean, or more than once. I get it. I totally get it. They're rich. They don't have my problems. Um, then you see Colin when he enters the main, as he's trying to come down the stairs and enter the main gathering hall, he's immediately surrounded by debutantes who are, you know, praising him for earlier during the day, the heroism that he showed in securing the balloon. And immediately they are very direct about, at least one of them is very direct about dancing with him. And as we know in this world, say it with me, y'all, if you've been listening, you know by now, kissing equals marriage, dancing equals marriage. So it's not just a little thing. So then while they're talking to him, he's just, honestly, his mind this entire time, as the audience knows, as the viewers know, he's just about Penelope. Ever since that case, he can't seem to forget it. So he's searching for Penelope in the crowd. Meanwhile, Penelope is just awkwardly standing alone. She's floating around in the room, right? And then she spots Debling, and she decides she's just going to move to approach him. And as she's going towards him, she spots Cressida and realizes she has the same intention. So it's like they're both competing for Lord Debling, and they start like racing. Well, I should say walking briskly towards him. And as they're talking, Cressida is just there with her feminine wiles, and him is just being honest and open and asking her about her foot, how her ankle is doing, and she's like, "Oh, it's much better now. It was hurting, but then I can still dance on it." She's pushing for a dance, and as we know in this world, dancing equals potential marriage. So, Penelope backs away. She's not going to be more awkward. She's not going to intrude or try to um, get in the way of that connection. Eloise, meanwhile, she's happy to talk to the debutantes, and I love this for her because this was my earlier complaint, is that she needs to give people chances. So as she approaches them, she hears them talking about marriage and wedding planning and how all those debutantes are interested in that, and she's like, nope. She turns around, walks away, and she's completely turned off from that conversation. Her sister Francesca finally gets a chance to talk to Marquess Samadani, and we find out that he's, pleased that the queen made that connection. She hooked it up for them, and then they start talking about how their families are similar, specifically because they both have the same number of siblings. And then so they're talking, and Francesca's like, I love my family dearly, but then I find like I can be kind of lonely with all that comes with a big family. And then he's like, I feel rather the opposite. And in fact, I would like to one day fill my house with many children so that it can be filled with laughter and chatter. And as we know, Francesca ain't about it. Francesca loves peace and quiet. And then upon hearing that, she just realizes that they're incompatible, and she excuses herself, and then she hides from Violet, her mom, right? Then as Violet is looking for her, the stranger, the tall, dark, handsome stranger comes again, and he's joking, and he's trying to break the ice by joking about whether she's looking for her other glove. And I'm like, dude got skills. One thing I love a guy who is funny or doesn't take life too seriously. Can make me laugh or can just throw me off worrying about life for a hot minute, And she's just like, oh no, I'm looking for my daughter. Then before she said that she's looking for her daughter, he says, some of us have to try and be heroes in some way, shape, or form, right? And then she's like, oh, thank you for earlier, but I'm looking for my daughter. And then they start talking about children. Like at first, Violet isn't really interested in like the game he's trying to spit, and then he he, he talks about how his children have long flown out of the nest, and then um, something along the lines of like, you know, now that they're flown away, like yeah, they're flown away, and then Violet is like, but do they ever really leave the nest? And then he says a nest is just twigs and leaves. It becomes a home when your children are near, which is always as you carry them with you wherever you go. And Violet is like, hola 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 hola, like ooh, like, you know, I don't want to say panty dropper, but that was a panty dropper, you know. I was trying to keep it PG. Anyways, we grown folks hopefully up in here, so I can say things like that. And then, you know, just as she is catching her breath, Agatha joins the chat and she's like, oh, I see you've met Marcus, my brother. And then Violet is like, what? You got a brother? You didn't tell me you got a brother. And then he's like, oh yes, I'm very pleased to formally um, be introduced to you. My name is Marcus Anderson. And then Agatha is like, yep, he's only visiting. And then, you know, he's like, yeah, but so far I have enjoyed every moment I've been here, or something along those lines. And then Violet is like, I didn't know you had a brother. And then all of them are just there awkwardly laughing. Okay, not really awkwardly laughing, but I know at least Agatha was. So Francesca, she's outside and she's just taking a moment where she can breathe out, she can exhale. And we know that she isn't really into this whole looking for a husband thing. She wants to get married, but then the social situation gives her anxiety. So when she's out there, a guy, just another mysterious man, joins her, and he says, he greets her, and then she's like, oh, she returns the greeting, and she's like, I'm only here to, like, catch my breath. And he's like, yeah, I understand, I've been searching for peace all night long. And then she's like, Mina, say what? Come again? It sounds like you're speaking my language. And then he's like, perhaps we should enjoy the silence together. And girlfriend was like, say less, say less. So 15 seconds in, yes, I counted. 15 seconds in, they exchange a few glances at each other, and then she's like, oh, please excuse me, and then she scurries. But before she completely leaves, she hits the brother with a look back. And if you're a girl and you're feeling a guy, everybody knows what the look back means. It's like, he reads, and she gets it from her mama, because Violet for sure gave Marcus the look back earlier on. Benedict, as he's running away from the other mamas and debutantes, meets the lady. There's a lady who's admiring like a sculpture, and she turns around and he discovers she's the lady from the balloon event. So they have like cheeky banter, and then he's trying to introduce himself, and she's like, oh, I know, it's on everyone's lips, your name is Benedict Bridgerton. And then he's like, oh, okay, fine, so I didn't know you were checking for me like that. And then it's like, okay, it's hard not to know who you are, because because of what you did. And then now they start joking about the gender stereotypes, right? Like for example, like he says, "Oh, I didn't think you would notice like my brutish strength. I thought you were more interested in like intellect." And then she says, "Oh, listen, don't get it twisted. I'm all for brute strength. In fact, I enjoy brute strength." And I'm like, lady, come again? Come again? And so it's very hot, it's intense. I'm like, ugh, I need to grab a fan. It's getting hot in her. It got hot in her. And then anyway, so she's like, "Oh, my name is Lady Tilly Arnold." And he's like, "Lady, are you married?" And she tells him that she's a widow, and she's mourned him for a few seasons, and she's in no hurry to find a husband, so he's safe. Then he's like, "Oh, I'm not afraid of you." And then she's like, "And that is where you go wrong. You should be scared of me." And then the next scene flips to them dancing, and we know here dancing equals. I'm like, Benedict, not you out there on the dance floor, not you trying to get claimed. Anyways, their dance is very intense, in my opinion, and it feels like it's quite sensual, even though it's not. Like the way she touches his hands, the eye contact they're giving each other. I'm like, y'all, get a room already. Get a room. Then Mr. Mondrich, who isn't present at the event, is at his place of business. I want to say the club. Yes, it's a club. I was gonna say bar, but it's a gentleman's club. And then he's given the game by this guy called Lord Garrett about entrepreneurship in the town. Like this, so he's told, like, listen, members of the society do not work. So he's like, yeah, it's frowned upon. And Mondrich is like, what? I thought part of being in this world means I'm free to do whatever I like. And then Lord Garrett tells him everything has limits. I was like, okay, that's a new rule I didn't know. So, and for me, I'm just going to take a moment to pause here and to say, like, so how did these guys make their money, right? Okay, I know it was inherited, but then it kind of now makes the whole thing about the Baron Featherington, like deceased, the late Archibald Featherington, and Jack Featherington, the fact that they had to do shady, scammy things to pay off their debts or to increase their coffers because they didn't have work to do. So, am I wrong? Am I tripping? But that's just my understanding now. This whole thing, the picture is coming full circle, and I'm like, I don't think this is going to go over so well because is that even realistic? Is that even real life? So now it looks like Mr. Mondrich has to make a choice on if he wants to step into the torn world, or if he wants to continue being the Will Mondrich that we know and love him to be. So Colin is chatting with the debutantes, and then they ask him about courage, and then he's looking at Penelope when he says, "It is within us all. As long as we're honest within ourselves about our feelings, it is possible to do anything." And can I just listen, Colin is very underrated. This guy, he's a philosopher. I don't care what nobody says. This guy, man, he impresses me. Like, the more I watch this thing and the more I take my time to analyze it, I'm like, yo, Colin, like, so Colin is looking at Penelope, and Penelope is also looking at him, but then like not in an interested way, just because they're friends and all that. And then she's hearing like whatever he's saying to the Debs, and she looks at Cressida and Debling, and she's like, okay, let me go apply whatever he's saying there. So she goes to meet Lord Debling, who is at the lemonade station with 2 glasses of lemonade. And then he's like, he I've forgotten what that conversation was, but then he tells her that, okay, I have to take this over to Cressida. And Penelope's like, listen, she confesses about pretending to be someone she is not. And she's honest now about who she is and what she likes, and what she enjoys is society and gossip, a good book. She enjoys a good book more than exploring the natural world. So Lord Debling, his response to that is quite positive, and he says that he does not wish to court someone exactly like himself. He wants to be with someone who knows who they are and embraces their own peculiarity as he does. And then he also says, as I'm sure you do for yourself, right? And I'm like, I love this for them. Like, it's a good match. I honestly thought that Debling and Cressida also made a good match because they share the same family history. Because Debling said that he doesn't get along, he wants to be far from his family because they don't seem to understand him. And Cressida also has the same issue with her family, right? And another thing that I found important about this ball is that previously at the balloon event, he said that he was about to go on another trip. So time is of the essence for either Penelope or Cressida to secure a match with Lord Debling. So Cressida is watching this whole interaction, and oh, my days, my heart just crumbled because she's effectively been stood up. Eloise, meanwhile, she strolls in and she's like, oh, I'm happy to find that you're unoccupied. I've been so tired this whole time, like with the conversations going on. And it's awkward because she realizes that Cressida is looking at Debling and Penelope, and then she realizes that those guys have clicked, right? And they're having a lengthy conversation. So she tries to convince slash cheer Cressida up by saying perhaps it's for the best, and that they might not be suitable because a diet of vegetables might not be good for Cressida. And I'm like, Eloise, honestly, you sure do know how to put your foot in your mouth. It's so awkward. Like your friend's feelings are crushed. Eloise doesn't really know how to be friends with people. I think. But she's trying. Then Colin, as usual, is watching Penelope, and he asks his mom, Violet, who is looking for Francesca, about what she hopes Francesca finds in a match. You know, he's low-key hiding the fact that he's interested in Penelope. He still hasn't come to terms with his own feelings. So, so the mom responds that, you know, she hopes for Francesca what she hoped for Daphne, Anthony, and even for herself, which was passion, excitement, and a love that is thrilling. And then Colin asks her, but don't you think that the best foundation for love is friendship? And Violet is like, yeah, it's rare to begin as friends, and more so for both parties to then feel more. So then he asks her how she and his father knew. And the mom is like, he simply gathered the courage to ask. And, you know, Colin, at this time, he's looking at Penelope, and then Violet is like, I see you, homeboy. She clocks the true intent behind the questions. And Colin is like, well, I hope Francesca gets the courage to ask and makes the right match. I'm like, okay, okay, Colin. All right, all right. So, um, so Colin approaches Penelope and he tries to ask her a question. And while he's asking her that question, yes, I wrote this down. Whistledown writes, this author believes man's greatest inventions are nothing more than a distraction from what is most natural to us. Our instincts, the innate animal impulse that is inside even the most sophisticated of us. So this time, Colin, it's like the words aren't forming fast enough. He's just looking at Penelope's mouth. He's looking at her décolletage. And I'm like, yeah, that's what happens when the kiss is good. Like, you can only think about the kiss. That's all you keep on thinking about, the kiss, the kiss, the kiss, right? For when all is said and done, our nature will always win out. And I'm like, you got that. You got that right. And I'm like, all this time I'm thinking, okay, you're talking about Colin, right? And then they are interrupted by Lord Debling, who asks Penelope to dance. And Penelope is looking at Colin like, oh yeah, wait, before I do all that. So Penelope first. So Colin approaches Penelope. He tries to ask her the question. No words come out. He's struck by her beauty, looking at her lips and her décolletage and all that, right? Then Penelope is like, are you well? Like, are you okay? You look like you're sick. The boy is love sick. Anyways, then they're interrupted by Lord Debling, who asks Penelope to dance. And she pauses for a long while, a really long while. Colin isn't saying anything. So she accepts the request. Then after that, Whistledown continues. It seems Lord Debling's instinct has led this man of nature to the most surprising pick of the season in Miss Penelope Featherington. Like, oh my gosh. All this while, I thought you were talking about Colin, but here you are, revealing that you're actually talking about Lord Debling. Ah. Anywho, so when all this is happening, everyone is shocked, right? Because, like, whoa, like, Lord Debling is the most eligible bachelor of the season. Penelope, she has been written off, like, in a very scathing way in Whistledown. And this is her third season out, and she's managed to snag the most eligible person. So Violet is checking in on Colin, checking to find out if he's okay, as any decent mother would, but in a non-helicopter mom way, kind of like at a distance, from a distance. And that's what you do with boys. You don't want to like suffocate them with like worry. And then the Featheringtons are surprised, more so Portia. And Philippa is like, is it a hallucination? And Prudence is like, I think so. Then Philippa is like, okay, I think I'm gonna throw up. And Prudence is like, I don't blame you. And then she runs off to the chamber pot, right? And the mom is like, she turns to Prudence and is like, I thought you guys stopped taking the potion. And Prudence tells her, yeah, we stopped. And then she's like, but why is she? And then it clicks, like, oh, Shorty is pregnant. Shorty is pregnant. Cressida and Eloise are also watching on with a defeated expression on both of their faces. You can see Eloise feeling for her bestie, and Cressida feeling terrible because she didn't get to dance. And as we know in this world, dancing equals, say it with me, y'all, marriage. And Colin is just looking sad. Like, not a good place to be. But anyways, that's it from me, y'all. Thank you so much. If you've watched to this point, I applaud you, because as we know, the way the whole social media thing is geared, we're not geared to watch like more than 1 minute or 3 minutes. So I thank you. You guys, stay safe out there. If you like this, leave a like. And if you want to continue being a part of this journey, consider subscribing. Okay, until the next one. Bye.